Hello, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, and advocate, and today's topic is about the 3Ds of the toxic family. It is denial, deception, and dysfunction. So the three go hand in hand with a very abusive, unhealthy family unit, and you may be experiencing this today, or you are trying to heal from the aftermath of child abuse, narcissistic abuse, sibling rivalry and abuse, etc., etc. So we can understand that an unhealthy foundation within a toxic family has secrets. Shh, everyone tries to keep it on the lowdown. Nobody talks about it. You could feel as if you're walking on eggshells, especially around certain people such as the narcissistic parent, sibling, or relative. So the family has this unspoken code of silence. It's not something that actually may have been said to you or told to you or commanded, from other people, to stay silent. But it is what I consider very unspoken, unwritten. You just know as you're growing up in this dysfunctional family that there are family secrets, and you know that you are not permitted to talk about it. And if you do, you will reap the consequences, and it could be spankings, it could be harsh punishment, it could be actual physical or sexual abuse, and it could be extremely, extremely traumatic. We can understand that if you dare speak up, whether you're a child, whether you are a teenager or a grown adult, if you speak up about your malicious family, what will happen is they will ostracize you, they will criticize you, they will shift the blame to you, and they will punish you severely. Let's talk about denial. So denial is when people dismiss the facts about what's going on in the family. They refuse to believe, acknowledge, accept, and address and resolve broken, abusive behaviors. They deny the words and actions that are happening under this roof of this home that is very, very unhealthy and unsafe, especially for anyone who is an innocent child, innocent teenager, even adults. There are plenty of women who have been involved in domestic violent relationships in which they just can't leave. So often people are like, just leave, just go. Well, oftentimes these people, whether it is the child, the teenager, the grown adult, the wife, or whoever it may be, they are threatened that if they would dare have the guts to leave or seek help or call the cops, they are told, their lives will be threatened. Oftentimes they're told, if you speak a word of what's happening, I will kill you. These are the horrifying, appalling tactics used by malicious, vicious people who are extremely sociopathic, narcissistic, and very, very toxic people. Next is that withholding information and facts is also part of the denial. Pretending that nothing is wrong is also playing that little mind game of denial. And this denial tactic is used over and over and over again, year after year, decade after decade, by the covert, manipulative people who could be your parents, it could be your siblings, it could be your spouse, it could be anyone who lives with you, even a roommate. But remember now, we're really zooming in this video on the family dysfunctional unit. And in this case, it is the family who very often will always withhold facts and truth and information because they want to keep everybody under wraps. There's this whole thing on control and power. They want to overpower you. They want to use scare tactics to keep you silent indefinitely. So back in 2017, the dark veil lifted. So all of a sudden, what was at one time, it could have been suppressed, it could have been repressed trauma, it came to my consciousness. So we become consciously aware of the very dysfunctional covert family unit at some point in our lives. Now, keep in mind that because it is an extremely traumatic experience, it's very normal and very common for abuse survivors to go years and years where it's something they're not putting their finger on. They could live in confusion. They could live in frustration. They know that something's terribly, terribly wrong, but they may not have come to complete enlightenment. And after you become enlightened about the truth of abuse of your family and the various happenings behind closed doors, you then have choices. You have choices, do I stay silent? Do I speak up? Do I stay in this relationship? Do I go no contact? So we'll be talking about that in today's video. But as for myself, back in 2017, when the veil was lifted, and I could consciously see everything that has happened and all of the generational abuse within my family, and then my father's family, my mother's family, my ancestors' family, I could see that this is not just about my own family of origin. It was something that was going on for years and years and years, so far back in time that it has my head spinning. You're just absolutely heartbroken, disturbed, and traumatized when we come to the understanding that, yes, this is very real. This really did happen. And it wasn't just me, but there's people who are my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, their grandparents, and it goes back. It just keeps going back. And we can understand and connect the dots from generation to generation, how there was so much mental abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse in some of these families that are connected to my family, and everyone is keeping it quiet. So nobody's talking about it. And back in 2017, it became very, very, very clear to me what was really happening. And so when I would go to family functions, it was like there was an elephant in the room. Everybody acted like things were happy, nice smile on their face, everything's happy. And yet nobody was talking about the real problems going on in my family. Nobody talked about that my grandfather continually molested his daughter, who is my aunt, who is now deceased. Nobody talked about how there were people within my own family and through marriage who were predators. Nobody talked about, and they wanted me to keep quiet and silent and not talk about my brother-in-law who sexually assaulted me in 2006. My goodness, it's been 14 years. And so here's something I really need to bring up, is that very often after the traumatic event, so whether it was being bullied, being mentally abused, being physically abused, being sexually abused, or all of the above, oftentimes trauma survivors do not discuss it and do not talk about it, especially with their family members. And it could go on for years and years and years where it is not something that is even permitted to be discussed. Do you understand? There is this code of silence. There are those people who they expect you to stay quiet, to never, ever discuss it. They want you to just forgive and forget. They want you to just move on. They want you to just get over it. Well, hell no, I'm not getting over it, and neither are you. We can understand that we cannot get over these toxic family functions that are just a big, big make-believe fairy tale. They're a game. It's like playing make-believe. Let's have a holiday. Let's have a birthday. Let's have a family gathering and pretend that everything is wonderful and we're all this close-knit family. And it's just a lie. I understood in 2017 all the way through this current present time, that my life, my past, my childhood, my teenage years, and a huge, huge portion of my adulthood was built on a family lie. And this family secret and this family lie kept me quiet, kept me hostage, and it had me in so much turmoil and pain. And it took a whole lot of weeding through the past, of reliving the trauma, that I had come to better clarity, wisdom, discernment, understanding, acknowledgement, and processing everything. And I mean, it can take years and years and years to really delve deep into the dark pit of everything that happened within your family, or maybe the family before them and the family before them, and then you're going through the family history, and now you're into the ancestors, and it is just mind-blowing, and it takes great strength and courage to face it and then to speak up about it. We can understand also that gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse and manipulation, where a person or a group of people, such as the whole entire family, is making you question your sanity. It's making you question your own perception of what happened, what took place, your perception of reality. It is making you come to a place where you're thinking, okay, I have all these flashbacks, I have all these triggers, I have all these memories, I have all these recollections of this horrible, horrible stuff that happened. What does this mean? What really happened? And we have to know that our gut instinct is very, very on point. Listen to your gut instincts, follow that intuition. It will never lead you astray. It is there for your highest good. So what happens is, with the gaslighting and the manipulation and the three-ring circus of abuse, including with the narcissist and the flying monkeys, there is confusion. It could cause you to feel anxious. It could have you questioning your own stability. It could have you wondering what to do about this information that you now see very, very clearly. So there's a lot to process. It is like a jungle, and there are weeds growing everywhere, wild, poisonous weeds, and you have to, one by one, strip this jungle of the poisonous weeds, lies, denial, and all the nastiness, and really, really see what is the foundation of this. Well, the foundation, it's not solid. It's not like bricks. It's not sturdy. It is more like straws. And so it falls apart. The family unit is broken. That's why it's dysfunctional, because it is not healthy, because there is abuse, because there are very, very sociopathic behaviors happening. You know, when there is bullying within a family, when there is pathological lying by one or more members of the family, it causes so much harm to everyone else within that family. Next is that deception is another part of the family. So there are the 3 Ds, the denial, the deception, and the dysfunction. So when we're talking about deception, we can understand it's when someone is dishonest. It's when someone is misleading people to believe false accusations and information that is not correct. And this is what happens is there will be a lie, and then that person who said that lie, they'll end up having to lie about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, the whole family is living a lie. Your whole foundation of your past is a lie. And so you have to unlearn everything that you had learned. You know, part of the healing journey for me, I had to unlearn religion. I had to unlearn everything about the family. I had to literally take every single area, one by one, and examine it and reevaluate it and determine if there were limited beliefs, were there false beliefs? Was this a false belief created by someone within the family, and they had brainwashed all of us? And in most cases, yes, there was brainwashing that was taking place, especially with my narcissistic mother. Next, we can understand that with deception comes betrayal. Now, for anyone who is going through this right now, or you are in the recovery process, understand this is brutal, absolutely brutal. You know, being betrayed by a mother, by a father, by your siblings, by your grandparents, by your relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc., etc. It is brutal. It hurts. It cuts like a knife. Do you understand that trauma pierces the soul? And it hurts like hell. And when we are betrayed by those people who are supposed to be there to defend us, to protect us, to love us, to value us, to be there for us, to support us, and they're not doing any of this. Instead, they're not supporting us. They don't love us. They're not valuing us. They're not standing up for us. They are not there to be a support system for us. We're left out in the cold. We are left out in the cold. And so where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us to rethink who we want to put our trust in, who we want to put our faith in. And oftentimes we have to dismantle everything we were taught in the past and relearn and come to a better understanding of what is the truth, what is the reality. There is no loyalty to the scapegoat. So the narcissistic parents or siblings and relatives, they have no loyalty. Here's something that I'm coming to terms with. This is very current right now. This is something I'm going through. It's heavy, heavy, heavy. It does feel very burdensome, but I feel like I need to talk about it because other people could be going through this, and I want you to know it's okay and you're not alone. So what I'm going through, what I'm coming to terms with, nobody ever cared enough about me to salvage the relationship with me. I was discarded just like that. I was discarded fast. And so in the discard, when the family discards us, you know, whether it is the narcissist, the flying monkeys, or whoever it may be, it is betrayal. It is extremely sinister, and it really, really does cut like a knife because we reach a place where we can understand if someone really did love you, they wouldn't discard you. They would fight for your relationship. They would really try to work things out. They would really try to restore and reconcile your relationship. They would want to be there for you. They'd want to pray for you. They'd want to restore the relationship. They'd want to come to some kind of cooperation where you could maybe meet each other in the middle, like 50-50, meet each other in the middle. They'd do something to reach out to you, to try to be there for you. And so I'm coming to terms with my own parents didn't salvage the relationship. Now, as far as my mother, no, she did not salvage her relationship with me. In our last conversation in March 2019, it ended on a very, very bitter note. Her bitterness, her hate, her pride, her lack of empathy, her lack of compassion, her lack of love, her lack of choosing reconciliation. You know, I accept that this is the way it ended. As far as my father, I am grateful and thankful that in 2017 and 2018, we reconciled our relationship, we restored our relationship, and that does bring me peace. But I am still dealing with some things with both parents, the aftermath of they are now passed away. They're both deceased. They passed away 14 months apart from one another. And while I have the grief to deal with and all of that, there's still so much other junk from the past that I'm still trying to weed out, process, understand, and recover from. And the one really, really sour taste in my mouth, something that happened, and it happened many, many, many times with my father, was that countless times I would come to him And I would talk to him about my concerns about my sisters and my stepsisters and about different things going on, maybe even things to do with my mother. And my dad would deny it. He used denial, denial, and denial as his go-to tactic. That was not loving. That was not authentic. That was not compassionate nor understanding. And that hurt. And I'm coming now to grips with this, that he really was not a big support system for me ever. I'm talking in my entire life. He really never had my back. He never really supported me. He didn't help me or rescue me from my narcissistic mother, nor my siblings. And when I would try to have an adult conversation with him, daughter to father, and share my vulnerability. I came from a very vulnerable place. I had the courage to speak up and to try to discuss my concerns with him. He denied it every single time. He would try to say, "Oh no, that's not happening." Think about it. Something is going on in the family, and it's sinister, and it's toxic, and it's malicious, and it's vicious, and it's manipulative, and it's unhealthy, and it's psychologically so traumatic. And you go to your father and you try to talk to him, and you're very calm, you're very clear in communicating what you believe, how you feel, you're coming from a very vulnerable, courageous place. And he says no. He says it's not true. Do you understand how extremely re-traumatizing this is for me? Coming to terms with this. And while he is no longer alive, I am still having to work through this. I am still having to confront how I didn't have parents who defended me, who protected me, who were there to really have my back. And the betrayal stings so damn bad. And there are days where I cannot even be online. I cannot even consider communicating with anyone on social media because I am dealing with so much. So there are times, I'm going to keep it honest, I'm going to keep it real. There are times the pain hurts so bad, I have to take a time out from social media. I have to take a time out from everything. And while there may be all these people who are trying to get my attention, they're demanding for my attention. And believe me, on YouTube, there's a lot of people who, I need your help, I need your help. You know what? If someone's drowning and it's you, are you going to give the safety ring, the little floating device, are you going to give it to yourself or someone else if you're drowning? If you're in a plane and it's going down, are you going to put the oxygen on the person next to you, or are you going to put the oxygen on your own face? You really need to take care of yourself. And so I'm coming to terms of self-care is so crucial, and I'm still in recovery, people. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the solutions, but I am going to show up and dress up and speak up. And I am going to continue this path of healing until I take my last breath. And so there are times I may not be there for everyone who is demanding for my help. I have to give myself the oxygen, especially right now, because if not, I am sinking. I am drowning. I will not make it. I have to help myself. And so I hope that you have compassion. I hope that you have understanding. I hope that you can give yourself the oxygen mask and you could grab that safety device so you don't drown, because we each have to do our part and we have to rescue our own selves. Before we can rescue anyone else, we have to rescue our own selves, or we are not going to make it. And I tell you what, I am a fighter, people. I am a fighter. I am a warrior. I am a courageous survivor, and I'll be damned if anything's going to bring me down. So I am fighting for my life, okay? And I really ask you to give me grace. If I don't show up all the time on YouTube day after day, it could very well be that I am taking care of something that's really calling for my attention with my own self or with my own children, that I need to be there for certain people who are in my immediate family, such as my husband, my furry friends, my children, my own self. And so while I want to help others, I've really come to a place where I have to take care of me. And there is no apology. There is no apology for wanting to practice self-care, to have healthy boundaries, and to know that we can't help others if we can't even help ourselves. So the first person we need to help is us. And it's only after we are able to fully stand firm on a very, very sturdy foundation, then we may be able to help others. Maybe then we could do the whole life coaching. I'm not doing coaching anymore. Why? Because I'm in a season of self-care. I'm in a season of processing trauma. I'm in a season of coming to terms with my complex PTSD, my narcissistic mother, my siblings, the gaslighting, the mobbing, the stalking, the betrayal. And so there's a lot of heavy stuff I'm dealing with, and I can really, really appreciate that there's a season for everything. And someday I will be on the other end where I may be able to be a life coach for people going through narcissistic abuse or child abuse or sexual trauma or anything like PTSD, but right now I can't coach people. I can't really be there to mentor people because I need to take care of me and keep that oxygen very close by and really give myself extra time, extra space, the sacred space to heal, because healing is not overnight, people. Healing is a journey. Next is that after I caught my sister red-handed in her malicious lies back in 2018, and I eventually went no contact with all my siblings, including my narcissistic mother, then I even more so could see the denial, the deception, and the dysfunction. So it really is after you walk away from these unhealthy family dynamics, when you do see things a lot more crystal clear, and you really can really appreciate how much you're learning and how much that you are now consciously in acceptance. It doesn't mean that we're happy about what happened. It doesn't mean that we like what happened. No, of course we don't like the abuse. Of course it's awful. Of course it's disturbing, but we can accept it. And through acceptance is healing. Next, here's an inspiring quote. People of integrity do not hide their reactions or opinions. They do not manipulate others or gaslight them through deceptive patterns, nor do they play mind games or pretend. People of integrity do not hide the truth. People of integrity are truth seekers who are wise souls who speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. And so here are top reasons to end your toxic relationship with your family members. Now, for you, it might only be one person. For another individual, it could be their entire family. It could be everyone. It could be their mother, their father, their sisters, their grandparents. So for everyone, understand our circumstances are different. Understand too that when you go no contact with one single person, and let's just say you have a narcissistic father, down the road, it could be that you end up going no contact with someone else. It could be your father has a sister and he did all kind of playing, the woe is me, the victim card. And before you know it, his sister's ganging up on you and you have to go into contact with her. And the next thing you know, your cousins are, creating smear campaigns on social media against you. And then you have to go into contact with them. So, kind of keep an open mind that it could end up being a wider range of people within your family who you go no contact with. And it could be just in your best interest to do this. So here are the top reasons to end toxic relationships with your sinister, manipulative, very, very abusive family. Number one, it's exhausting. Oh my goodness, for you people who are still in these relationships, are you exhausted? Because it is very draining, because it is very frustrating, because it is so stressful and it just beats up your body and your mind. It is extremely distressing to try to maintain a relationship that is unhealthy. We can understand that being in an abusive relationship with family members, it's just extremely time consuming. It really does bring you to a very, very dark pit. And oftentimes it could produce depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and you could feel like you're a hostage being silenced within your own family. It's quite unpleasant and it's not a good way to live. Number 2, another reason to end the relationship with toxic family members is because it is unproductive. It is a waste of your time and your energy to continue battling and struggling day after day, year after year, and decade after decade with a broken, dysfunctional relationship. There is no winning with a narcissist or flying monkeys. There is no winning with someone who is an abuser. There is no winning with pathological liars. There is no winning in playing nice with toxic, unhealthy people. It's a vicious cycle. It goes around and around and around, and then it goes from generation to generation to generation. And there could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, bullying, gaslighting, stalking, and on and on and on. It's a 3-ring circus, people. It's time for you to consider other options. Only you can determine what is best for you. Number 3, physically and mentally draining is part of the challenges, but it's also harmful for your entire well-being. So if you stay in a relationship with these toxic people who are constantly manipulating and lying and spreading rumors about you and retaliating against you, and they're telling you things that are not true. So it's constantly, you're the problem. It's all you. It's all in your mind. You're crazy. It is so extremely heavy, so extremely dark and evil that it will just bring you down. How can you be happy with your life when you're just constantly told things that are false, that are accusations against you to hurt you? Next is that you could end up having aches and pains. You could have trauma, you could have PTSD, you could have depression, you could have anxiety. What can happen is if you stay in this toxic relationship, you can actually end up manifesting very many symptoms. You could have an autoimmune disorder, you could have cancer, you could have migraines, you could have IBS, you could have heart palpitations, you could have insomnia, you could have panic attacks, you could have all kinds of various ailments and inflammation and ongoing medical conditions. And it is rooted to the actual trauma, and it's just manifesting itself into pain. So again, this is something that is very common. There's a lot of books about it. There's so much credible information out there. If you start Googling it, you'll come to see that there's so many great books out there. Dr. John Sarno's is a very great resource. He talks about back pain. He talks about fibromyalgia. He talks about all kind of conditions that are rooted to abuse, that are rooted to some unhealthy dynamics, especially in the family unit. So again, consider searching for various resources that could benefit you to learn more about the manifestation, this body-mind connection to abuse from your family. Next is that The main reason it's crucial to go no contact with these toxic family members is because the situation will never, ever change. So you cannot resolve it. It could be that you've spent years trying to fix your family. You've spent years trying to restore your relationship with these people. You've forgiven and forgiven and forgiven and forgiven. And my goodness, how much more forgiving can we do when they keep abusing us over and over again? There comes a time and a place where we have to, say, I'm done. I'm done with the abuse. I'm done with the gaslighting. I'm done with the bullying and the manipulation. I'm done. Next is that the situation won't ever change, unless there is an absolute miracle. And I'm not saying there won't be, because I do believe in miracles, but unless there is a miracle that takes place, your family will never change. The family unit is codependent. This is something that is generational again, and the only person who can make a change is you. It is in your hands. It is within your power to change you. Next, you cannot fix your broken family. You cannot force them to not abuse you. You cannot force them to be truthful, honest, compassionate people. Either someone's empathic and compassionate or they're not. It's really that simple. Next is, still have my notes, people. Next is that we have to learn to accept reality. It's not a pleasant reality. We might not like the reality, but we move into acceptance. And by doing so, we really do start our healing journey. Next, the only person you can change is yourself. It isn't about trying to change anyone else. We're not going to control anyone. We're not going to try to overpower anyone. Instead, we're going to empower ourselves. And so isn't it time, my friends, that you stand up for yourself, that you stand up and advocate for you and your life and your future? Isn't it time that you set clear boundaries and you stand by them? Walk in the truth. Care enough about yourself and your future that you release those people who are hurting you, who don't value you, who don't care about you, who don't respect you. Envision a beautiful life where you can embrace who you really are. You can love yourself for exactly who you are, that you are enough, and you could step into freedom. Wrap yourself in peace. And understand that your happiness and your healing are here. It's waiting for you. It's waiting for you to step on the pathway of restoring your own self. Next, I'm going to end with some positive affirmations. You might want to get a pen or paper and write some down. You could every day say out loud these affirmations because it's very positive. There's that whole saying that if you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit. It becomes ingrained within your routine. So if you want, you could start saying these positive affirmations and produce wellness, peace of mind, and calm. Really get grounded in tranquility, because this is what we need along our healing journey. So number one, the affirmation is, my courage is growing stronger each day. I am worthy of respect. I trust my ability to make the right decisions and the best decisions for me. I have the tools to create the life and abundance that I desire. I am making peace with my past, and I accept myself. I am free to be myself fully. I deserve to receive all the love and support that I need. And so today, my friends, please share with me, did your family, or do they still use the denial tactic? Are they gaslighting you and manipulating you? Is your family dysfunctional? Have they used deception as their go-to manipulation to constantly tell you that you are the problem? Are you the black sheep or scapegoat in your family unit? If so, share with me what you're going through. And remember, we're going to end on this note. Remember, Self-care is something that's essential. It is a necessity. It is not selfish. Taking care of ourselves and putting that oxygen mask on our face helps us. So take a deep breath, inhale, and then exhale, and ground yourself and surround yourself with the ability to take safe, sacred space to just be who you are, to take as long as you need to heal, and to give yourself grace. Thank you and have an awesome day.